Settings: the story happens when a fisherman goes to the lake at noon to cast his net 4 times a day.
The character in The Fisherman and the Genie are the fisherman Shakir al-Genie and King Sulaiman. The fisherman took a genie from the sea, and it was Shakir al-Genie, and he made him serve King Sulaiman.
The fisherman wanted to provide for his family but was met with misfortune. Finding a genie on his last attempt at fishing, he was asked to choose how his death would be given to him. The problem is, when he came to the lake, he couldn't catch any fish. He found himself throwing his net 4 times into the lake. But instead of fish, for the first time, his net bring him a golden jar. He was so happy thinking that he could sell it to the market and brought it to the shore. He cleaned it and wiped the sand that is stick to the jar. Of his shock, a genie came out from the jar. It was so big and he was so afraid. And this is his another problem. When the genie spoke, he asked the fisherman what kind of death would be given to him.
The plot of the story is about the fisherman casting his nets to feed his family, but failing on the third attempt made him very angry. And casting the fourth one, he managed to get a very big jar that contained something very magical. Yeah, yun lang.
I will be discussing the climax of the two story, The Fisherman and the Genie, and the tale of the wazir of King Yunan and Rayan the Doctor. So first, when we say climax, this is the highest and most intense point in the story. So the climax in The Fisherman and the Genie, the fisherman made a cunning move to trick the genie into returning into his jar to be sealed off and returned to the sea.
The resolution of the fisherman and the genie. The fisherman, as wise individual, wanted to teach a lesson on morality and debt of gratitude to the genie, which lead us to the next story.
The theme of the story, The Fisherman and the Genie, was all about depth of gratitude, respect, faith, and earnesty. It is also about being alert and clever. So, the fisherman and the genie are both tricked by one another. So, if the fisherman isn't outsmarted by Genie, he could possibly die.
Here's my opinion on what could be changed or added to the story. The story ends abruptly. To give the story a more satisfying conclusion, it could explore the consequences of the fisherman's decision, its impact and consequences of it on his life and family. This would allow for a more comprehensive resolution of the moral dilemmas presented in the story.
Settings: in the kingdom of the city forest and the land of Rom, there was a king Yunan who was plagued, and there was a doctor that can cure the disease of king, a wizard with greed and malice.
The character in The Tale of the Wazir of King Yunan and Ryan the Doctor are King Yunan, the Wazir, and Dr. Ryan. King Yunan had a serious illness, so Dr. Ryan healed the king. Also, because of the healing of King Yunan, Dr. Ryan gets money, and that is reason why the Wazir was jealous of the doctor.
The doctor was cured by a Dr. Ryan and was rewarded by the king, treated as if he was a longtime friend, giving him plenty of robes of honor and an allowance of 2,000 dinars. Arising the jealousy of the king's wazir, attempting to dirty the doctor with a false story. The problem arises when the king's wazir grows a jealousy towards the doctor. After the doctor cured the leprosy of the king, he was rewarded plenty of robes of honor and an allowance of 2,000 dinars. The king also said that he can give the half of the kingdom to the doctor. Out of jealousy, the wazir tells a false story about the doctor. He told the king that the doctor was an enemy. Luckily, the king didn't believe him.
The plot of the story. There was a king that was suffering from a disease, and no one in the kingdom can cure him. But one day there was a doctor that managed to cure him of this disease. He was blessed and kept well fed. And a wazir from this kingdom became envious of this doctor. Soon after, this wazir was very greedy enough to tell the king of an ill story about a doctor named Brian. That is all.
The climax in the tale of the wazir of King Yunan and Rayan the doctor was happened when the wazir felt envious of the doctor who was being pampered and constantly being blessed by King Yunan.
The resolution of the tale of King Yunan and Ryan the doctor. The king was dumbfounded when the wazir exclaimed that Dr. Ryan was plotting something against him, but the king knows what is true. So he decided to tell a story to teach his wazir a lesson about loyalty.
The theme of the tale of the wazir of King Yunan and Ryan the doctor was about greed, envy, loyalty, and respect. It also tells us to be firm and clear about our own mind so that we will not be fooled by others easily. So, no matter what the vicious tried to persuade, the king knew the fact that the sage did save him or cure him on his disease.
This story showcasing themes of jealousy, betrayal, and the importance of wisdom and gratitude. However, to make this story more engaging, it must be deepen the story's emotional impact. There could be more exploration of the motivations behind the wazir's jealousy. Was he seeking power, wealth, or prestige? Adding depth to his character would make his actions more understandable. Even if they remain morally questionable, the story could benefit from a more extensive exploration of how King Yunan reconciles with the wazir after discovering the betrayal. This resolution could highlight the importance of forgiveness and redemption.
The title of the story is The Wazir of King Yunan and the Doctor named Ryan. The story begins after the continuation of the first part of this story, when the fisherman is explaining to the genie as to why he does not want him to be set free and punishing him for his bad deeds. So the story begins when this king named Yunan was suffering from a disease called leprosy. All the doctors and medicine and herbalists of the kingdom was not able to cure him from this disease. So the king was in agony, very sad, and hoping for his death. But one day, there was this doctor named Brian who said that I can best all of the doctors of this kingdom. I can cure you without having you take any drugs and without without padding you with any healing salves. And so the king exclaimed, "If you, my child, can do this, I shall make you my cupman and be my friend. I will bless you with all the riches that I have." And so the doctor asked, when shall I cure you?" The king then said, "Tomorrow." And the next day came. He prepared a little game of polo, but the sneaky doctor managed to trick this king because he applied all his medicine on the stick of this polo equipment. And when the king arrived, he made the king hold it as tight as he can and made him play this game for the entire day. Or for a, or until that his or until his body became sweaty. Yeah. Um, then after this, Dr. Ryan saw that his medicine was working because his whole body was sweating. Then he ordered the king to stop and go back to the palace to be washed down and cleansed by the maidens. And after that, by night time, he has been cured of his leprosy. The doctor then explained to the king about his disease, that it was not a real disease. It was just that he was lacking of any physical contact. Therefore, he was cured by just playing a game of polo. But the story does not end there. The doctor then was treated like the bestest friend that the king had ever had. He was blessed with almost anything that the king could give him, all his treasures, and he was blessed with allowances for every time he visited. And every day, the king called this doctor to eat with him. And in the palace, there was a wazir that became jealous of this doctor because to himself he knows that he could be better than this doctor. Then one day he went to the king and told him a story, saying that there was something that the king should be worried about. A traitor out to take his life. A traitor that would soon kill him. And then the king went pale. He asked the wazir, "Who is this that seeks to kill me?" Then the wazir said, "Ryan, the doctor." But the king was not tricked because he knows Ryan is a good man. And then the king then told the story to this wazir. And this was the end of this part of the summary.